And welcome to the tiebreaks of the Gibraltar Masters. Turns out that Pantalia Harikrishna did not manage to win his game, therefore we only have two players, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave and Hikaru Nakamura. Pepe, whom are we going with?
I don't know. Nakamura is really strong player in this kind of time controls, but Maxime Vachier-Lagrave as well. So my favorite is Vachier-Lagrave, but I don't know. Let's see what happens. They're already playing another pin variation, I think. And what do you think?
I don't know. It's a strange line. I'm not very familiar with it. This bishop b3. In my days we used to play c4 here, but MVL played d5 first, e takes d6, now c4, queen takes d6. Nakamura undermined this pawn with b3. And it looks now he's a little better maybe.
Yeah.
He got the center.
Yeah, now he's gonna play
d4.
d4.
I'm not sure. I'd slightly prefer white. White can manage to get his pieces out.
Yeah, what about if I play knight to d5? So you cannot play knight to d2, and if you play c4, I will go to b4.
Oof.
I don't know, just to say something.
Yeah, bishop a3 is an option, but it doesn't look too terrible. The queen just goes away.
Yeah.
Takes. Yeah, it might be a good move.
And now I'm targeting the c3 pawn.
So, what are the rules? It's 2 games of
10 minutes plus
10
5.
minutes plus 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And then if the score is tied 1-1, then they play 2 games at a faster rate, I believe 3 minutes plus 2 seconds. And if then it's still equal, they play an Armageddon game.
Yeah. So after d4, he already played rook
f8.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Wow.
Tactics.
Boom. And knight to g5.
Normally... Good.
Yeah. Normally, okay, you can go to h6, right? But at the end of the line, there is the f7 pawn is hanging, right? That's the reason. Because now it works. And is it checkmate? Yeah, and then you can take on e6. That's a thing. Oof, so dangerous. Still you have queen f8 there. Queen f8 still possible in this line. Or not? Is it?
It's possible, but
You
probably
can
it's bad
take
for
so
white.
many pawns, right? On b7.
Yeah. It's very dangerous.
Wow.
Textbook bishop sacrifice on h7, not something world-class players normally miss, but here you don't really consider it, because if you think if you have the g5 square covered, this never works. You just take, and the bishop goes.
Even if it's the queen who is covering that g5 square, if the queen was on e7, you can always take on g5 with the queen, because the queen on e2 is hanging. But now the f7 pawn is hanging at the end of the line, so...
Drama. And Nakamura, the favorite, one of the best, I think the world number 1 in Blitz, and maybe number 2 in Rapid, is, yeah, has a good chance here. But we shouldn't forget, MVL in Blitz, he looked very close to becoming Blitz world champion, was in a big leader with like 3 rounds to go, finished second in the end. They know each other very well. In tournament chess, Nakamura has a good score against MVL, but in Blitz I think they've played a lot and anything can happen.
Yeah.
And here, this could happen.
Yeah. So Nakamura still thinking just 6 minutes versus 8 minutes for Maxime Vachier. And it's just completely losing, or there is something he can do about it? Maybe he can go to h8 or something.
Nah, well, that's always more or less resigns.
g4, right?
Well, or you just go back.
Just go back and...
With this pawn missing, you just lost. No, you have to take. King takes, knight g5. Here if king g6, then g4 is probably winning, but also queen d3 check.
Yeah,
anything
and
wins.
then f5 you can take on e6 with your rook, winning the queen already. Whoa!
King f6, this is
Yeah,
checkmate.
I think, yeah, that's checkmate. Nice one.
Knight e4 is also quite good, but I want to show the checkmate.
Yeah, he
And
took
he
on
did
h7,
take. Wow.
yeah.
Blunder by MVL. Very
Yeah.
surprised to see that.
He went for it.
Feels like white shouldn't be able to do it yet. He doesn't have any pieces out. But
Yeah. But it works.
chess is very concrete. If it works, it works. So let's look at the critical line again. You have to take.
Yeah, queen h5.
Queen takes.
And
bishop
then maybe
h6.
we should go back, right, in this
You can do this not to resign immediately, but this is hopeless.
You can even go rook e4 and rook h4.
Yeah, rook. It's a hopeless position. Pawn down and an attack.
So let's check the critical line. So you take on, you want to save the piece, and then queen f7, rook e6, right? I guess, or
there's other options.
Queen f6 as well.
This is possible. And if here, no rook e6, queen f8, queen g6. Such a position is probably also very dangerous with the knights so far away.
Yeah.
But the most natural is just to take on e6, I think.
Yeah.
Queen f8, take here.
Or queen f4. What about queen f4? No.
Wait.
Yes, just one move before. Yeah. So queen f4 here. What's going on? No.
Take.
Yeah, that's not a great idea.
We need the queen.
But queen f8, queen takes v7.
Looks bad.
Looks really bad.
This knight is almost trapped. There's really no good move to save it.
Yeah.
And it's all on the board. GH, queen f7, king h8, and Nakamura did indeed play queen f6 check first.
Okay.
He's quite good at calculating these things. He repeated once, king h7, queen f7.
Yeah.
Let's look again how he could let this happen. He played this, which looks natural. Takes, check. I have to take.
Yeah. Everything is forced after rook d8.
It looks like, yeah.
Terrible mistake. Yeah. What about if... no, there's nothing.
Well, so far they've been repeating moves a couple times here, so who knows, maybe Nakamura thinks it's not enough to win and he will go for the repetition, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, me neither.
So let's check again. Queen f8, queen takes e7, and I have there rook d6. So queen f8 here, queen takes e7 and rook d6, saving the knight.
That saves the knight.
Yeah, maybe you have to exchange the rooks, and then it's not so clear, right?
No, it still looks nice for white, but not easy at all.
Not easy, yeah. 4 pawns for the piece, but without that rook is more or less... Okay, so did he play anything? Yeah, he took on e6. He took on e6.
After queen f7.
After queen f7, king h8, rook e6.
On the board.
5 minutes for Nakamura, 6 minutes for Vachier. Now, rook f8 is also possible, right? And I'm blundering something.
Hang on, we can't see Nakamura's name. This is unacceptable.
Okay.
I'll get his name.
Go for it. All right. Meanwhile, options for black here: rook f8, queen f8. The b7 pawn is hanging, but if black manages to exchange one rook, this dangerous rooks in e6 would be safer. He played rook f8 in that position.
Rook f8.
Yeah. Without queens is safe, but now queen to g6. What's going on?
Queen f4 then.
Queen f4. Yeah, okay, you are gonna lose 1 pawn, h6 or b7. In this line you lose the h6 pawn, maybe now you have to take. It's not that clear. Just 4 pawns for the piece.
Winning. 4 pawns is nice, but in an endgame...
In an endgame, yeah, it's not the same.
Especially the pawns, since they aren't so far advanced. In this position, I don't know, maybe white is better, but a lot of things could still happen.
Yeah, rook e8. You can activate quite fast your rook. You still have your knight on b1.
Yeah, and these pawns, they aren't running very fast because black has some counterplay. So not all is lost for the French number 1 yet. And after rook e6, rook f8, Nakamura did take. But after rook f7, he played d5. What's that about?
d5.
Gives the knight this square. Not sure I understand it.
Yeah, you can play...
This is hanging.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe only move rook d8.
Of course. So you have to go here.
Rook d8, yeah.
And now maybe he wants to take this and then take I was gonna say take on a7, but then knight takes d5. Black seems okay. If rook a8, there's rook f8. So still not over after this rook d8.
Yeah.
And rook d8 is on the board indeed.
And yeah, now
Decision time.
you can play rook h6, but king to
but then
g7,
king
and then
g7.
you take on d5, right?
Yeah, this looks bad actually.
And this looks even better for black.
No, I
With
think
this
you have
knight
to
on b1.
And now instead of rook a7, you can
And
go
c4.
c4.
Yeah.
Just play this position. The pawn is under attack, so you have to keep it a6, and you bring the knight out. It's 3 pawns in a nice position, but still not clear, I would say.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
but
this looks
this
sensible
looks,
here.
yeah.
c5 is in the air.
Maybe knight to d7.
This knight is an idiot. Knight d7, I don't know, maybe knight e4.
Knight e4 here. Yeah, you should bring your king at some point. King to g7.
Yeah. And c4, a6 has been played indeed, knight c3. And he's played rook to e7, controlling the e file.
Yeah, maybe.
Stopping knight e4.
Yeah, I wanted to go to f4 or something, but then you have rook e3.
Yeah, f4 looks risky then. When
Yeah,
rook comes
rook
in.
e3. But what about this c5 that you were talking about? So c5, you can go ahead, and then b4, everything.
Yeah. But still, it's only 3 pawns, they aren't moving that quickly. Hard to evaluate. I'd
Yeah.
take white, but I'm not so sure.
Yeah,
It's very hard for white to lose. If things go wrong, you can always exchange a lot of pawns. Black doesn't have so many pawns. But if you can win this, who knows really?
yeah, I think they already played c6. Yeah, there is something going on. So they played c5,
played
knight
c6,
d7, and
yeah.
c6.
That's a safer choice. Make sure
Yeah.
you don't lose, get rid of some pawns. But I'm not sure how big your winning chances are here. BC, rook a6 is on the board apparently. I don't know, this feels like a draw to me.
Yeah,
What do we do? Can we take on d5? Just get rid of pawns?
yeah, you can take and then check.
I was worried about this, but maybe it's nothing.
You can take there, and you can always go knight e5 and knight f7 or something like this.
Yeah, but I learned that 2 knights that defend each other are always misplaced.
Yeah,
Even though you might have to do it here. Yeah, or maybe put the knight here.
and then bring the king to d7.
Feels very close to a draw. And MVL played knight to b8. He didn't take on d5. This might be even more precise.
Rook a8, what's going on there? Rook b7.
Rook b7.
Okay,
Then it takes, well, any knight takes.
and then
this
the
pawn is
b3
already
pawn is hanging there.
under attack. Wow, he
Oh,
blundered
Vachier-
his bishop h7, but
Yeah,
now
but
he's back.
he's saving the game, yeah.
He's tough. Knight b8. Does Nakamura start worrying about losing? Blake does have a pawn left.
Yeah,
of course.
still possible to lose.
Maybe they will repeat moves. Rook b6, knight d7, rook a6.
No, he played rook b6 and then knight b8, rook b6 and
Rook b6, rook b7.
rook
yeah.
b7. Yeah, that's been played, and he took on b7. Yeah, that's a dead draw, right? He
I
took
don't
on
know.
c6.
Yeah.
Yeah, the b3 pawn is gonna fall. You are gonna attack with knight c5, for example. Next move.
Well, I can try to
You
keep
can try to keep it how, like, all right. Yeah, you wanna go b4.
Oh yeah, he played knight d5, king g7.
Now I'm gonna go to e6 maybe with my king, and then play knight c5.
Should be a draw. One funny thing that could happen is white is forced to give up his knight for the h-pawn. He will never be forced, but it could happen. And then black could try to checkmate with 2 knights, which is possible if there's still
Yeah.
a king alive.
You know how?
Yeah. I've tried to practice to drive the king back.
Yeah.
That's not so simple.
It's not so easy, right?
But no, objectively, I'd still take white, I believe. It's easier to play white, just push the
Yeah.
pawns and bring the king, see what happens. But black should survive.
Yeah.
Very nice defense by Mr. MVL after this unpleasant surprise. We have some more moves. b4, knight to d6, and g4, king to f7. He's just pushing his pawns up the board, as you should.
Yeah.
King to g2.
King e6, knight c7 check. And then
Move
king d7,
repetition
maybe
coming.
it's a repetition already. No, he played king d7, knight
Oh, he wants to
a6.
win. King d7, knight a6. Not sure
Yeah.
if that's a better square.
Yeah.
Black is fine. Knight d4.
Knight d4, king c6, king b5. Yeah, you can try to push the f-pawn, but
If I want to, I
you can
just
take
care
there.
later.
You can take. Yeah, you can take on b4 and it's a draw already.
Something like this. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to take here. That should end peacefully. And this pawn can't queen alone with a knight on d6 controlling it.
Yeah. He played f4 already.
King e6, f4, king d5.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
I think.
Oh no, after move 40, knight a6, he played king e6.
Yeah.
Didn't go. Knight d4.
Knight
Who wants to
and king
bring
d5. Yeah, that's
Safe.
interesting as well. Just keeping the king in the center, and this b pawn is going nowhere, so you can go there and then play h5 maybe.
Yeah, he's playing it safe, not even allowing white any play on the king side. King g3, probably h5.
h5. Then you can take
All the pawns
everything.
come off.
Take on f5 and then on b4.
It's gonna be draw. Very
Yeah.
nice defense by MVL. A lot of people would just collapse after missing bishop
Yeah.
h7 earlier, but he hung in there. That means MVL is gonna be white in the next game, most likely. Well, he's gonna be white, but most likely after a draw. And he has a chance to win the tournament.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, there's lots of money at stake. The winner gets 20,000 pounds,
Yeah.
and the loser gets, I don't know.
Almost nothing.
No,
compared.
not that bad, but
Now 10,000, let's say, or something.
probably, since it's
Yeah.
only 2 shared on points. But it does matter.
Nakamura played last year. Actually, he won last year, right?
He won
Yeah,
convincingly,
he won.
And they've made some more moves. King e5, king g3, h5,
H5.
has been played indeed, and knight to c5.
Yeah, this is
Knight
just
takes f5. That looks like a strange move. Yeah, it's good enough, but
Yeah. knight to b4, right? It's,
well, this is
Okay,
fine
knight
too.
to b4
Takes and
now.
now takes, and they've agreed draw.
okay.
I'm not sure if the last move knight takes f5 is correct. Others look more natural, like takes here first and then knight takes f5.
So the loser gets 16,000. Calling us in.
Okay, then it's
Yeah.
not too bad.
It's
When
not
I lost
bad,
my
it's not-
tiebreak, there were a lot of people tied for first, so
Yeah.
it was a lot more painful when Mickey Adams beat me in Gibraltar 2010. Long time ago. And yeah, draw agreed. We're gonna stay tuned and wait for the next game between those two players.
I would love to see a King's Indian here.
Why?
I don't know. Nakamura is an expert. He goes for the checkmate.
But MVL, he's not
Yeah,
gonna play
he's gonna
d4,
do-
right?
yeah.
He's gonna play e4.
E4. And so, what's your guess?
I don't know. Najdorf is possible. Nakamura plays every opening and he's Spanish. Najdorf, Caro-Kann, whatever he feels like. But most likely is always a burden.
Yeah.
And we're told 18,000 second prize then. Yeah, there's not that much money at stake actually.
No.
First is 20, second is 18. There's no difference almost.
Yeah. Colin said 16,000. So, and 20.
Nah, they're both gonna
4,000
be
bucks.
quite happy with their Gibraltar trip.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, but these two know each other very well, take pride in being some of the best Blitz players in the world. There's a lot of prestige at stake here.
Yeah. Let's see. And then if they make a draw, 2 games,
2 games with 3 minutes,
3 minutes
and 2
and-
seconds, I believe, and
then
then
Armageddon.
Armageddon, also with a strange time control, something with increment. I forgot what it was. 4 plus 2 versus 3 plus 2 or something.
Okay.
I don't like increment in Armageddon games. You should be able to flag in Armageddon games. With increment, it's too big of an advantage
Yeah.
to be black. Should be
That's
5
true.
minutes versus 4 minutes and no increment.
So black is 1 minute down, right?
Yeah, but with 2 seconds per move, it
Once
doesn't matter.
in a tournament, I was playing an Armageddon, and I was white, and they gave the black player 1 minute more than me. You know.
Rules for Spanish players.
Yeah.
They're tougher. I've played some Armageddons, not that many, I believe. I once won one. I was very happy.
So I think they're gonna make any break, right? They will just start right away.
I'm not sure. You think no drinking, smoking, bathroom break?
Whatever. You are the smoker.
Yeah, I think that's normal to have like a 5-10 minute break,
Yeah.
but no longer than that.
Okay. Colin is saying something.
Game 2 is there.
Scroll down, click on T2, click the game.
I think he's talking to you. But it doesn't look like they started yet, at least
No.
not on our little screens. We will pay the utmost attention.
Yeah. E4, then knight off maybe. Would be glad if I see a knight off there again.
E5, you see a Berlin. Is the Berlin gonna make you happy as well?
No.
Slightly less happy?
Yeah, we. Okay, D4, they already enter in the endgame.
MVL has bad experiences with the Berlin in these tiebreak matches. He lost to Anish Giri in London
That's true.
on the white side of a Berlin. That was very costly loss for him, not just money-wise, but also meant he didn't qualify for the next edition of the Grand Chess Tour. So maybe Nakamura is hoping he's still a little traumatized.
Yeah.
He's playing the most solid line there
Yeah.
is of the Berlin. The King E8, H5 stuff is extremely solid.
Yeah.
MVL has had many tries to break it down in London in the regular tournament against
And he
Anish Giri.
couldn't. Yeah, this line with bishop f4 and knight to g5, rook h6
Yeah, I always
is
forget
so
how it
solid.
goes. How do they play?
It's actually bishop e6, right? Or
I think
No.
you start with
bishop
this.
b7, rook d1, bishop e6, knight to g5, rook h6. Yeah, the idea is to play rook g6 there. There are some knight to jumps to from knight to f5 to h4 in some lines. Yeah, you can also recapture on e6.
Yeah, it's tough not to crack. People have tried for many years now. This position feature in the World Championship match, Vachier-Lagrave against Magnus Carlsen.
Yeah.
And yeah, black is very, very solid. This is,
Yeah.
if people want to play safe, because in the Berlin you can play sharper. You can play
With
bishop
rook
d7,
c8,
let's
king
say, try to
c8,
win your
right?
king here, or h6, and it becomes very unbalanced. But this is the safest line. You go king e8 to protect f7, then you go h5 to stop any ideas with g4. And you tell white, good luck breaking this down.
Yeah. Who was Nakamura played bishop e6 in that position, right? Against Grishuk.
Yeah, that's another line that's
Yeah,
more
g4,
provocative. And if g4, knight
knight
e7.
e7. Yeah.
I've also played this, but this is a lot riskier. H5 is
Yeah.
much safer choice. And maybe MVL was hoping for this bishop e6, because this is much more
Well-
double-edged. And they've been blitzing
Yeah, they're
out
ready.
the main line.
Yeah. Bishop e7, rook a1.
I think they're following the game MVL against Giri from the London Chess Classic, rook h6. For whatever reason, they played g3 here,
Yeah.
probably to stop h4.
Bishop takes e5 and then rook g6.
Yeah, now there's some tactics. The only good move is h4.
H4.
The bishop goes away, then
Knight to
h4 is quite
is
tricky.
yeah.
So they play this, but this pawn can be vulnerable, and black goes f6 to get hold of it. Takes,
Bishop f4, and then he played rook c8.
Rook c8, is that a
It's actually
novelty?
a
I
surprise,
thought they'd
right?
take here first, but I could be wrong. I
But
never studied the Berlin properly.
Now, now maybe then king h2, right? So you stop knight takes h4 in this position.
It's a strange move, rook c8.
Really
Yeah.
strange.
As far as I know, you're supposed to take here, but
Yeah. Then f3, I think, is the move.
Yeah.
Then you go, I don't know, something like king f2 in some lines. Yeah, knight f5 or
I also can't remember. But this looks
Yeah.
very familiar, stuff like this.
yeah,
White is pushing a little bit, but
yeah, but not
supposed
too
to-
much.
A rook c8, novelty by Nakamura. All the top players, they know all these lines inside out. He wants to surprise him a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. He played king h2.
King
Pretty
f7.
normal. So you save the h4 pawn now, and now the rook on c8 is, I don't know, this. I find this pretty strange.
Yeah, it's still black is very solid. It's opposite color bishops, equal
Yeah.
pawns. I have this plan, for example. Even if white is a tad better, it doesn't look very serious.
Yeah.
Now go b6,
Yeah, he
c5.
played already this knight e4. He wants to jump to c5, so it's not even dangerous, I think, right? So, well, it is. He played b6 immediately, covering the c5 square. Maybe now something like rook fe1, right? I don't know, just to play something.
Yeah, but black is very solid.
Yeah.
Like any move, bishop d5 or even this. Because white is e3 against 2, but it's very hard to make any progress with the pawn
There's
structure.
not a trick taking on h5 and then rook g4?
Maybe, but after rook
No,
e1
after
it
rook
doesn't
e1,
work
no,
anymore.
before rook e1.
Yeah, before maybe.
Here,
Okay, that's
can I
alright.
take?
Very.
And okay, even if you win this pawn, this knight on e4 is just a draw, right?
Yeah.
But
No, b6 is the natural move to
yeah,
blitz out.
he played rook fe1.
And c5. The standard pawn construction in the Berlin. If you have the light square bishop, you want to put your pawns on dark squares over here.
Yeah.
Control these.
White sometimes tries to do the same, playing with c4, b3 and a4, but that's actually really dangerous, right? In some endgames, this bishop on e6 comes through f5 and collects all the guys there.
Yeah, often everything is exchanged and then all these pawns drop. That's the black dream in the Berlin. I think I'm painting too much. What do you think?
Yeah. You love painting. You are an artist.
Yes. Rook fe1. The rook went back to g8. He didn't play c5 because he's a horrible player. He didn't want to commit this pawn. No, of course, this is also a very flexible move. c5 doesn't run away. And you can put this rook on e8 or d8 or wherever you want. Looks very, very close to equal to me.
Yeah. So he played b3. Already starting this construction we talk about.
Yeah, well, you start worrying about your a2 pawn a little bit.
Yeah.
And b3 in order to be able to go c4 should this bishop go here. It's natural enough.
Rook g e8.
Yeah, hinting at this. And now
a5
it's
is also a natural move, right? Sometimes you want to play a4 and open this column.
Yeah, especially if white goes c4, a5 is quite normal hinting at this. I don't know. Too many Berlins. f3, c5 on the board.
Yeah, white would love to go something like g4 at some point, but the h4 pawn is hanging. Not that easy to take advantage of your majority on the queen side.
No, I think you just bring the king and hope for the best. But there's very little. This is the most solid line in top level chess there is. c3.
c3, a5 immediately. Yeah, c3.
Sometimes this is a threat. Looks very strange because you undouble the black pawns, but then this can become a target to put the rook here, gain some space. So a5 just directed against b4. Maybe
sometimes a4, yeah.
And also he just wanted to stop knight d4 by going c3. But still, king g2 now.
King g2.
I'm not sure I like c3. I think he should just have brought the king
Yeah,
immediately.
what's the next move for black here?
Not my problem.
Now you cannot... Yeah, knight e7 maybe as well.
Also, yeah. Goes rook e7.
Rook e7.
Just to double. Or to go here.
Yeah,
if you like, but I think he
solid.
just wants to double. Nah, black is fine.
Yeah.
Which is good news for us who want to see these guys play more games against each other, because this smells quite drawish.
Yeah.
And should it end in a draw, we get another 2 games. I was curious, he played rook d2, but could you take here, or is this ridiculous?
It's not ridiculous, but I think, yeah, you can just take with your knight even.
Yeah, not enough. Sometimes this is an interesting material balance, but here black should be okay. He's played rook d2. Now you really have to worry about these ideas.
So maybe rook ce8, as you said before. Now,
still slightly worried.
Yeah, you can take, and then king f7. You can take with your rook.
Yeah,
and
fine.
d2.
No, but black is solid. Yeah, it's not a threat yet because these pawns don't start moving very quickly.
But without rooks, you would take white. Without one pair of rooks here.
Depends. If this rook has any inroads, maybe
Yeah.
it can get a g4 quickly. The black pieces are quite active, so I'm not sure here. He's played bishop d7. Also probably a good move, trying to bring it here. Now knight f6 no longer works.
Yeah.
Sometimes with white you have to be a little careful in these situations. I'm not saying white is worse, but the bishop c6, rook e8. White doesn't have an active plan, he can get worse.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah, king f2 is normal. Yeah, completely equal.
Whatever, now you exchange your rooks and should still be equal. Anything they've done? No, bishop d7. Big surprise for MVL, the French #1. Can you pronounce Vachier-Lagrave?
Vachier-Lagrave.
Yeah, also
It
it
didn't
doesn't
sound
sound
so
perfect, but I can't do it well either. And since I've learned that Vachier is a dirty word in French,
Ah, really?
we call him MVL, just to
MVL.
avoid the
Alright.
awkwardness of saying that. I think Vachier-Lagrave is fine, but Vachier
Vachier
is
is
supposed
really
to
bad.
be something
Okay.
dirty. Ah non, mais je ne peux pas parler français. Rook d2. Yeah, they're doing this. He's gonna go here. Knight d2. I'm not sure if black wants to keep one pair of rooks, maybe.
Yeah, because otherwise the opponent c7.
Yeah, and also it's gonna be a little harder long term to fight against this g4.
Yeah.
So maybe even here. This looks very
Rook
strange.
c8.
He would go rook c8.
Yeah, the thing is you cannot play g4. So how to
No.
make progress here is so difficult.
You can try to bring your knight to
Yeah, if
g2,
you-
but I might exchange it once it's on e3. Oops.
Yeah.
Nah, it's just equal. Black also has counterplay on the queen side if you do nothing for too long.
Yeah.
The good old Berlin. These top players, they must spend a lot of time analyzing that line especially. But if it's solid, it's solid.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do. Nakamura is showing even a new way here with this rook c8. Or maybe it's not new. You guys can check in the database tab if it's
Yeah.
been played before. To me it looks new. They used to discuss this knight takes h4 stuff.
Yeah.
I can't draw.
There's a game between Magnus Carlsen and Anand, right? In the
Yeah,
match.
many games.
Yeah. Did they play anything? Yeah, he played rook c8. And
No, he went back to c8 immediately. Interesting.
knight c4.
Sort of admitting that maybe rook ce8 wasn't the best idea, no?
Yeah.
But I don't think it matters so much. This knight on c4. Still not doing much. All you can do is exchange it for black's knight.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think you exchange one pair of rooks.
And then
Then you maneuver, I don't know, here. And then you allow g4.
you can play even bishop b7, just do nothing there. So what's your next move? I don't know.
Me neither.
Yeah, you go rook d2, I go bishop c6 again, and again, and again, and again, and I'm solid there. I don't know.
Yeah, I think at some point you have to exchange knights and then hope
play
to get
g4.
this.
Yeah.
Because long term this rook
Yeah.
is not that happy with more and more pieces disappearing. I don't know, this rook c8 and rook c8 might not have been ideal, but it's still very, very little.
Mm-hmm. What about bishop b5? Nah, you can take on e7 and then move your knight. It's just
Yeah, it doesn't
knight
help.
e3. Actually, now you can try to go for g4, but knight g6 is also possible.
Oh, but maybe instead of knight e3, I'm not sure if this is really a threat. I can get this. 'Cause yeah, if I can get this and this, I might be slightly better.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, playing for small nuances, we're not going to see any mating attacks. But it is black who has to be a little careful. Rook e2, and bishop b5 is on the board.
Bishop
That's a
b5.
smarter version now. You can't unpin and you can't go g4.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I guess you can't.
No, you can take on h4. You can always go back to g6. Yo, so
And if he goes away, he wants to take, I guess. Yeah.
And then king e6 maybe?
Still can't go g4. No, I'm scared of this.
oh, you can go to h3 with your king maybe,
No, you can
and
maneuver.
then g4. Yeah, and if you go to d6, I can just take, I guess. And then rook d5.
Yeah, because this pawn structure might look ugly, but it's not so bad. It's controlling the
Yeah.
black pawns quite well,
Yeah.
actually.
If you cannot attack the c4 pawn, it's not that bad actually. So, and now rook d5 maybe, or
G5,
yeah,
maybe
b5
B5,
maybe.
but
But just g4.
This could be dangerous. So decision here for Nakamura if he wants to take on c4 or not. I have a feeling he maybe shouldn't, because he's slightly worse, and keeping his opposite color bishops also
Yeah.
always helps the defense.
Mm-hmm.
How do you say Facundo in English? What's your
I don't know.
term?
My guess for Facundo in English, I don't know. Do you have any name?
I don't know.
I heard Harry from you the other day.
Ah, but
the H pawn.
that was the H pawn.
Of course,
I don't
yeah.
know. Freddy?
Freddy,
the
yeah,
F
yeah,
pawn?
Freddy. So,
But maybe Nakamura has to be a little careful now. Or I think he has to be a little careful now. This bishop c4 must have been his idea, but I don't think it's a good idea.
so what about if he does nothing, just bishop to c6?
Yeah, you can just
Yeah.
keep waiting.
So
We
you
had a
want to
similar
exchange
position.
your knights, right?
I want to exchange knights, so I can go g4. Yeah.
Yeah. And the problem is this rook is tied to the c7 pawn all the time. Has to be in c8. It's a really passive square. Yeah.
Well, it should still be a draw, but it's not so pleasant. Now white has an easy plan. Go g4, bring the king back around,
Yeah.
then create a pass pawn either g5.
I love when Berlin players lose games, you know? So this way they will play less, you know?
You want them to get scared away and
Yeah.
play the knight off against you.
Or the dragon. Whatever.
Well, Gawain Jones won his game with the dragon today. That was a bit shocking, actually, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
That endgame. 2 pawns and bishop versus bishop. Opposite color bishops.
let's show it very briefly. Very briefly, I promise. So they had this position, which is a draw. All white has to do is put his king on g2,
Two.
and black can never make any progress. But instead, Yu Yangyi, one of the best players in the world, went for bishop c8, and here f4 he can resign because he's
Yeah.
not in time. King f2, now the king does not get to where he wants to be. For example, this followed by this, and where all the lines are winning, let's say this.
Yeah. So just remember, if you play one of these positions, just bring your king to g2, your bishop, for example, to e2, if you are on time. If you are on time, because this way you can always take on f3.
Yeah, but here there's just nothing to do. If black brings his king, then bishop d7 works, f3, king g3. So yeah, shocking endgame defeat for Mr. Yu Yangyi. And let's see if it's gonna be a less shocking endgame defeat for Mr. Nakamura. I still think he's gonna hold, but he has to be careful now. He's got knight e7, but that allows g4, I would guess. Maybe once knight
Yeah,
d5.
knight d5, and then
Ah,
the
okay, that's the trick.
c3 pawn is there. Yeah. Knight e7. Now you have to do something about this.
No, I can go here, but
Knight
then
e3.
knight g6 has to be
that's the problem.
calculated.
Okay, you can go knight to g2 maybe.
Yeah.
c4. It's on the air.
Oof, yeah, I'm not sure why he went a4. This really
This
allows
really
black
helps us.
counterplay. I don't like his a4 move.
He went a4 in this position, yeah. And then...
Yeah, it's always
Yeah,
weaknesses. Well, he's played rook d3, just preparing
Yeah.
for
so
knight d5.
Knight
so
d5, you can go
bishop
back to
d2.
d2, yeah.
And he still wants to go g4. Maybe knight g6, just stopping g4 again.
Alright, you could just go back.
Bishop goes anywhere, but now you don't have a threat, so I can make any move.
King e6 or rook
e8,
e8, yeah.
h8, whatever I want. Yeah, bishop c1 is on the board. Same story. Yeah, king e6.
Yeah, king e6.
No, as long as g4 is prevented, it's not that much to hope for.
Yeah, and this plan of going to h3 with the king is just too slow, right? What do you think?
I think they're gonna make a draw.
They're gonna make a draw here. Yeah, they already gave some checks there.
Repeat moves.
So we'll have blitz games. That's always nice to see.
Very exciting.
And Nakamura is a killer in this kind of blitz games. It's just...
He is, but MVL,
Yeah, but MVL is not bad.
it's not bad. He might be number 3 in the world in Blitz.
He can move the pieces, yeah.
Yeah, the game ended in a draw, so we're gonna await the 3+2 Blitz games. I don't know, I think Nakamura is the favorite. Both are incredibly strong at Blitz, but Nakamura has maybe a little more experience in these Armageddon situations. Or maybe he's had more success. Maybe it's my imagination, but I can't remember MVL doing well. But I only remember this London thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
We will see. We're going to go on a very quick break and be back with the 3+2 Blitz games. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
The action is about to resume.
Yeah.
Random word. Welcome back to the first Blitz game, 3 minutes plus 2 seconds, and good news is it's Berlin.
Yeah. Which
But-
line? Rook e1. Yeah, slightly different.
MVL has seen enough of the endgame. He's understood he can't crack this line for now, or he doesn't want to. So he plays one of the most solid lines, the line with rook e1, almost symmetrical position, where White is hoping to prove he's slightly better because his knight on f5 is a little bit misplaced, but it is very, very little. Knight c3 is not so
That's
typical.
strange.
Normally they play plans with c3, trying to put the bishop here and then bring this knight around to d2. But MVL has his own plan. Looks strange, however, because one of White's pluses is he can defend his pawn more easily than Black.
Yeah. Maybe one of the plans is to regroup this knight via e2 and then to f4 maybe. Looks interesting.
Let's see. What
And then
happens.
c3 and then, yeah.
Maybe even g5. I'm a martial
Really?
player. I like going g5.
You're getting that crazy already?
Why not? Just
It's
to
just
restrict
6
the
PM.
pieces. I don't know. It's been a long night watching Gotham on Netflix.
Okay.
Mhm.
No, he played already.
He
Yeah.
played bishop f6. He
Okay.
doesn't like my
And now c3 because the d4 pawn is hanging.
g5.
And then you want to
Gotta
go g5.
You have to, else this is very uncomfortable to me.
Yeah, and then after g5, what's White next move? Because actually maybe you can even play g4 at some point.
He's played knight d6, but now knight f4 is unpleasant.
Now knight f4 is really impressive. You're winning the bishop pair already.
At least I don't have to take. He's gone bishop g4.
g4, but now you can take or...
Hang on.
Okay.
Too fast for us because
Yeah, 2 minutes, 1
knight
minute.
d5 didn't work because of rook e1. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
winning material, so he had to take and
First.
the knight defense. Oh, the
Okay.
queen defense on d5. But it still looks worse.
Now
even
you can
h3.
go h3, bishop g2. And then there's no proper square for this bishop.
Let's play bishop d3 first.
Okay, queen to d7.
I like less. I think he
Yeah,
should have
h3.
questioned that bishop. That was a mistake. Bishop d3.
Yeah, now you have problems on this pin.
Yeah, maybe the best move is bishop f1.
To go h3 next move.
Yeah.
And then the knight can go to d3.
But it's not going to be his idea. No, bishop d3 was a mistake, blitzed out
Yep.
by MVL. Nakamura's back, even though he got into trouble. He didn't know this knight c3 idea. Tending knight e2, knight f4.
Yeah.
Walked straight into it with bishop e6.
Yeah.
And this was unpleasant. Maybe g5, but it's not an easy move to make in a blitz game. But now, after bishop d3, queen d7, Black is back in business. While after h3, I think he would have had a very tough position.
Yep.
Bishop f5, even queen b3.
Yeah. You are targeting the b7 and the d5 pawn. Hard to defend, both of them.
Yeah, now he's had to retreat his active knight. He has to challenge the bishop, wants to go knight e3. But Black is in time to do all the usual stuff. Knight d6, now
Bishop
you go back to
e6.
e6, then you want to go g6, knight e7, c6, bishop, knight to f5 one day.
Yeah.
Looks very solid, no? Maybe another draw.
Maybe another draw, yeah. Nakamura with white pieces, would avoid, I don't know.
h6, another slightly strange move, because I thought often later you want to go g6,
G6.
and then this pawn could be a little weak. But
Okay,
still.
they're playing fast now. 1 minute per game now. Per player, sorry.
Yeah, not a lot of time left. 2 seconds increment, but it's not so much, this 2 seconds.
It's nothing.
You played in the Blitz World Championship.
No,
not
I
with
played
this
in
time
just in the
control.
rapid one.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, so rookie one, I guess.
Yeah, but now Black is fine. Okay, one looks logical, but Black has everything under control. Whatever, b6, 97.
97. But 97 allows you to play
97.
knight e5. It can be a little bit uncomfortable. But
Yeah, maybe you still have to take some care, even though.
wow. MVL just 30 seconds in his clock. You had to
What's
play
he thinking
something,
about?
man.
Just blitz our rookie one and see what
Yeah.
happens, no? There he goes.
Yeah, rookie one.
g6. Yeah, that's what I mentioned earlier. You have to go g6, but then it's preferable to have the pawn on h7 because now this is a bit of a weakness.
Yeah, they played a lot of moves actually.
Well, not that many. b3, bishop g7, bishop c1.
C1,
Quiet maneuvering, a6.
A6,
Both sides don't have that many useful ways
A4.
to improve a4.
Okay, maybe you want to go B4 and
Yeah, b4 gives up
Yeah.
this square. I don't know. b5.
B5.
He's trying to do something.
You can go bishop A3 maybe, but there's always ideas with B4. And then the d4 pawn is hanging in so many lines.
Yeah, he's played b4 just to stop any of those ideas. But
Okay,
no,
but
black
now
on
knight
this square.
c4. Yeah.
He's gonna go there. And he equalized finally.
Yeah, and then probably. Ooh, I start liking black's position. Now you can go bishop f5 maybe. Yeah, but that's nothing, right?
No, it's
Okay.
equal, but black is solid.
Queen
on
a4 is
four.
just a mistake there.
What happened? Ah, he played bishop g4.
Bishop g4 takes, and bishop g2.
Actually, black is slightly better now.
Yeah, I like
Black
black's
can come
position.
here.
Yeah,
I like
you
this
can
maneuver.
you can try to go there. Maybe queen a8 at some point.
He's played bishop
Bishop
f5.
f5.
But now we can pin him.
Yeah, now there's no knight to d4 because with the queen on d7 it is. So maybe queen d7. Bishop d7.
Queen back.
Queen d1.
And he plays his
Wow,
maneuver
they're playing
finally.
really fast now. They have to. They must. 20 seconds.
e5, bishop e6. I still like black's position better. Put the knight here, drive these away, gain some space.
Queen c1. h6 pawn.
He's played f6. He wants to go g5. No,
Yeah.
I like it for black. He's played g5. Very textbook play by Nakamura,
Yeah.
restricting the white minor pieces actually.
Yeah.
And black has plans queen a8, queen a2. Go c6 first. And we also do something on the king side, but I'm not sure what. Maybe h4, just to create some weaknesses there.
So after g5 he played h4.
He did play h4, okay.
Yeah, and then c6. Bishop d2.
Oof, they're blitzing.
Yeah, bishop d2, bishop f5, queen a1, bishop e4, h takes, knight to e1, bishop takes g2, knight takes, knight to d6, knight e3, knight e4, queen a2, queen h5, bishop e1,
Sorry?
queen a2, queen h5, bishop e1, g4.
He's trying
Okay,
to checkmate
yes,
him.
trying to go knight to g5. He play after g4, queen a8 check.
Yeah.
King h7, queen takes c6,
What's going on?
knight to g5. Wow, so black is winning.
Is he?
King f1, queen to h1, king e2, queen f3. And now what? King to d2, king to f1 again. King to f1 again,
Oh,
queen
maybe it's a
h1.
run.
Yeah, they are making a draw.
Another draw?
Yeah, the queen is on f3 now. And he's thinking,
Well, he could go king d2.
yeah. Wow, this is really...
Check. King c1. But doesn't look like a winning attempt. Queen e2.
Yeah, you can take on f2 maybe.
Or even takes.
You're gonna, yeah. So I think they made a draw. I'm not sure.
We will never know.
So what was going on there?
Draw agreed.
After knight g5, looks like black was winning. King to f1.
Yeah, the winning move was
Next,
knight
knight
f3
f3.
directly.
Yeah, you can
Queen
go-
h1.
Wow.
If king e2, which looks normal, then you had to spot this, which is
Queen-
very easy to miss.
Yeah.
Switching directions, but
Yeah.
deadly because queen d3 cannot be stopped.
Yeah.
A lot of action, but no decisive result yet.
Yeah.
King f1, queen b1, this would have won. For example, knight g2, queen d3 is checkmate. So that means one more game with 3 minutes plus 2 seconds. If that game ends in a draw again, then they play an Armageddon game. If that game finds a winner, whoever wins it is the winner of this tournament as well. Drama.
Yeah.
Must be a lot of adrenaline. Both 20 seconds. You're almost being checkmated. Prestigious title on the line. Nakamura would love to win this event back to back.
Yeah. Now Nakamura white pieces in the last game. Whoa. What's your guess? E4, D4?
I don't know, maybe b3.
B3.
Sometimes he likes to avoid theory in these decisive games.
Yeah. So. Okay.
I honestly have no idea what he's gonna do. I have a feeling he's gonna go b3.
B3. Would love to see this.
I also have a fantastic memory, so I can't recall at all what happened in the first Nakamura white game, even though it's like 8 minutes ago. No, he's played e4.
E4. Yeah. C5. Neither probably.
Ah, yeah, they played the Alapin, of course, the c3 line.
No, he went for the main line.
Yeah, this time, I mean, in
Okay.
the first
Yeah,
rapid game. Neither of it's gonna be MVL arguably the world's leading
Bishop
expert.
E2.
Nakamura chooses one of the more quiet lines, Bishop E2 and Queen D3. This recently got popular, intending to go Bishop G5 and Rook D1 quite often. But he's played Bishop E3. It's a line that Vachier-Lagrave played against MVL, for example. That game was something like castles, knight C6, A3 and D5. And they reached an endgame that was slightly better for white, but nothing special. Let's see if they repeat that. MVL, yeah, knight C6, A3 is on the board. And D5 again.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was without castles in that game too. I mixed it up. Takes, queen takes. All of this is MVL's game against Vichy. I forgot what Vichy did. Probably
castles.
Yeah. I think it was something like this and a draw.
Yeah, looks. I mean, Bishop B6 looks quite annoying in this position, followed by Rook by knight to C5 maybe. That's pretty annoying, yeah. So then you have to go to D6 and yeah, that's nothing special. So if Bishop C5, you can just retreat your Rook.
Yeah, this didn't happen. He castled kingside, which is more solid, covering the G2 pawn.
Yeah, you can try to go C4 and knight C5 maybe.
Yeah, but that's normally, let's make a move, I think.
Yeah, the D4 square is unprotected after this, of course, yeah.
Yeah, and black has good pieces left for this structure.
Yeah.
Like here, okay, probably Rook D2, but even if I just played F6, I don't think it's so serious.
You have always this D4 square. No, he went for Rook AD1.
They both castled kingside. They don't like my queenside castling ideas. Rook AD1, Bishop E4, targeting C2. Probably not knight A1, even though I always enjoy knight A1s, but it's not the most active move. Instead, Rook D2 looks normal, planning to double rooks.
Yeah, you can now put every rook on D8 and then exchange everything.
Yeah, it's very close to a draw once again.
Yeah, you have this majority on the queen side that always can give you slight tiny plus, but...
Yeah, but the majority on the king side is also worse. Something you control the center, you can bring the king here very quickly. I think it's nothing.
Yeah.
He's played knight c5. He did not go rook c2, rook d2.
What about if...
Looking for some action. If takes, then rook d2, and this pawn is gonna drop, which is problems. So maybe you have to take it, and similar structure to what we saw earlier, but with the pawn still back.
Yeah.
So maybe you can hope for a little something. Very little, but nice situation in a must not lose game. c3 and pretend you're slightly better with the two bishops.
Just a question, who's gonna take the white pieces in case they make another draw?
I don't know, it's either a drawing of lots, I think it's a drawing of lots, like choose which hand. And then the player who wins the drawing of lots can decide. Well, normally I'm quite a fan of taking the white pieces if it's 5 versus 4. But as increment, I think here it's 4 plus 2 versus 3 plus 2, you gotta take black.
Yeah.
With increment. You can never lose on time, so
yeah, that's true.
Draw odds are better. To explain for those of you who don't know, Armageddon means that it's one last game and white has to win the game, else he loses. Speaking, black gets draw odds.
Yeah. So he sacrificed this pawn in order to get the bishop pair.
Yeah, I like it. It's very
solid. You have a lot of activity. Rook b8 and bishop f6. Yeah.
Start with bishop f6, rook b4.
a5.
Now you should go a5 just to take this pawn away from a light square.
Yeah.
He's played a5, rook b5, bishop d7. They're blitzing. I'm a martial player there. It's very normal to get these endgames a pawn down, but with the bishop pair.
Yeah.
And here I think all the pieces just disappear after bishop takes b2. Rook a8, and you can't defend the a3 pawn. And I don't see a way to do it. Nakamura thinking here, what else can he do? Could go rook b6, maybe that's smarter. Keep this rook alive.
Yeah, you can try to activate now the f rook.
Here, there's this, which is
there's this trick. Rook, I don't know, rook b8 or rook e8 or...
Yeah, any square, c8, e8, b8, I'm also not sure. Maybe this, just to go here. Nah, I think black is always fine here with the two bishops. Very hard to get into serious trouble.
Yeah.
Let's see what he decides on. What's the clock situation? Not sure we can trust it, but both down to more or less 1 minute.
Yeah. And he played bishop d7 now. Ah, yeah, that's...
And rook b6, yeah.
Rook b6.
Doesn't want to make a draw just yet. And if white gets some time to play b4, knight c5, he would be better. So you gotta keep him busy. Rook e8, rook c8, one of those.
Rook b8, why not? I mean,
Oh, this, yeah.
what's the problem with that?
Probably nothing.
I mean,
d1, I guess.
yeah. What about if I just start putting pressure on your knight on bishop c8 and then rook a7, something like this? What's going on there?
I don't know, I'm blundering my pieces. Oof.
I love material for free, but it's not for free.
We all do.
Yeah, okay. If I take on b7, then you go... No, the thing is like, I can take with my rook, right?
Hang on, we gotta get back to the game.
Yeah.
Rook b6, he's played rook a b8.
Rook a b8, alright.
Spinning.
Rook a b8, and then he played bishop f3, rook fc8, rook d1, bishop e6, h3, and a4.
Yeah. I think black is totally fine now that he's avoided this b4 knight c5 plan.
Yeah.
Black pieces are a little uncoordinated.
Next move could be rook c2, right?
Doesn't matter, even
or
h6
g6
or
or-
g6. Because white can't really untangle by going rook d6 without losing his b2 pawn. So I believe that it's actually white has to be a little careful here.
Yeah,
despite
so
his extra
Hikaru
pawn.
with 20 seconds on the clock, so he should be playing fast.
Not so easy to come up with a good move here.
Okay, he played
Rook
rook b4,
Yeah, to put this rook
bishop
on
b3,
a protected
and
square.
rook b1.
Doesn't look
rook
so active,
b1,
but
yeah.
you gotta keep this pawn, else if this falls, and the a pawn becomes a monster.
Yeah,
Don't want to deal with monsters.
27 seconds for MVL. What about, I don't know, rook c2? What's the problem with rook b2? I don't understand. Bishop d1 maybe, or knight to c5. I don't know. He played actually rook c2. Yeah, knight c5,
that
rook
was
takes
Nakamura's
b4.
trick. So he gets rid of his
Yeah,
superfluous
now it's
pieces.
a draw after rook b2, then exchange everything on b3. On b3. Yeah, a takes b4.
I'm just showing the drawing line here, bishop
Yeah.
d5, and we pick up the pawn.
Yeah, that's a draw. Yeah, so
And it's
they
on the
play-
board, it's gonna
yeah,
be a
it's
draw.
on the, yeah, it's gonna be a draw.
Oof, good defense there by Nakamura. I thought
Yeah.
he was in trouble for a second.
So now Armageddon.
Armageddon,
Who has to win? We don't know yet, but
I don't know. I've seen the movie. Bruce Willis won, but I'm not sure he's eligible for this one. Yeah, we gotta stay tuned to see what the drawing of lots gives us. I hope I'm informed correctly, that it's 4 minutes plus 2 seconds versus 3 minutes plus 2 seconds, where I think black is a tremendous advantage. We've seen all the games have ended in draws. That extra minute is not so important if you get 2 seconds per move. So
yeah,
I believe that you want to take black.
yeah. Let's see. And there's not, I mean, the highest performance or something like this maybe will get what? It's no.
Nah,
What's
come
better?
on. No, they played 4 games and now you get an advantage because of the highest performance. Nah, I don't think so. Stakes is high. They must both be nervous. One Blitz game to decide the winner.
Yeah,
Big tournament.
in 2 minutes, in 5 minutes, 4,000 pounds difference. So 1,000 per minute.
That's a decent salary.
Yeah,
Just gotta make the right moves. Maybe that's better than football players, right? 1,000 per minute.
yeah, or even more.
Not sure though. Like they play. Let's do the math.
They play
Well,
like,
let's
for
say
example,
you're playing at Bayern or wherever, you make 10 million a year.
10 million a year. That
You
means
play 1 game per week, 90 minutes.
yeah. Then you train a couple of days.
Yeah, but I
we
mean, just
doesn't-
playing
yeah,
time.
Yeah, we don't count this. Yeah. So 1 game per week. So that means 4 times 12. So 50 games a year. So yeah, 50 games a year, 10 millions over 50. It's like 1 million over 5.
You're the
it's like
mathematician. I'm lost.
250,000 per day.
It's not
Per
too bad.
day of work. Per
Yeah,
working
so
day, yes.
Per minute, it's like 5,000 per minute.
It's not bad. I mean, I will take it. I will sign it right now here.
I don't know. If I have to run, I think I'm out. But if I can just stand around, like, it's okay. Maybe goalkeeper.
Yeah. Goalkeeper, you don't even need to do anything. Just
No, especially in Bayern or Barcelona, they
Yeah,
have the
they
ball
don't-
all the
they don't
time
do
anyway.
anything,
Like
yeah.
you just hang out there. And it looks like, or I'm not sure. No, I don't think that's true.
yeah, Nakamura has the black pieces.
That's what it looks like. Big advantage for Nakamura.
Yeah.
World number 1 in Blitz, and he gets draw odds. That can't be fun.
So, Vachier is a e4 player, but now that he's seen that Nakamura will maybe try to play again the Berlin, maybe he will try something different. Yeah, we have another Berlin. We have
And he got
another
a
Berlin.
good position with his rookie 1 line, so he repeats that.
Yeah,
But Nakamura chooses a different, even more solid line for this game.
yeah. 93.
Last game we've seen knight f5. But for this game, yeah, this is a theoretical line. Has been played recently in, for example, Carlsen against Caruana. I think Nakamura also had games here. It's very, very solid for black. D5 here, I believe. Kayakin recently played knight c7 against Juanito in,
Yeah,
where was it? In Vaikanze.
yeah. And there's also one game from Fabiano Caruana, I think.
Yeah, he had it with black against Magnus. It was
Yeah,
slightly different,
yeah.
but very similar. With some knight c7 first. And once again, they have this structure, but this time with both the d pawns isolated. White is maybe slightly better. This knight is nice.
Yeah,
These pieces coordinate a little better, but of course it's very, very little. Knight c7.
B3.
B3
You want to
bring the
go
bishop out
bishop
here or
A3,
here.
bishop B2.
Juanito just put it here. It was very
Juanito
similar
is a genius.
against Kayakin, and he outplayed him. He got in some f4, f5. But MVL plays the more natural move, bishop a3, hoping that Nakamura blunders the rook.
But-
Didn't happen. Rook f8, rook c1. And yeah, very close to equality.
Yeah,
Black
rook
will go rook
a8.
c8, maybe knight b5.
Yeah, queen to D3 or queen to D2, I don't know.
Must be tough to be an e4 player. You know all these super sharp Sicilian lines in
Yeah.
every game. You get stuff like this.
So maybe it's time to start thinking, maybe play D4 sometimes for this kind of games, right?
Well, d4 has its own problems, but
Yeah, of course, yeah.
yeah. MVL can't be too happy here. His time advantage is down to 30 seconds, so that's
Yeah.
not a big factor. And he has to win this game while black is just making...
Hey, what
normal
was
moves.
going on? Rook EC2?
No, he's played.
But Rook EC2 looks like a very annoying pin before.
He didn't go for it. He
Because the
went for
D5 pawn is hanging whenever you remove that knight from C7.
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't do it. He's decided to double on the e file. Probably following Juanito, he's hoping for some attack on the king
H4,
side.
yeah.
He's played h4, but even h5 here. Black is very solid. And we can always regroup this knight. Well,
Yeah.
not so easy because d5 is hanging. But it's come down to nerves. If Nakamura doesn't do anything stupid, I think he will hold, but easier said than done with this time control. MVL keeps maneuvering.
He
Tries to
brings
bring the knight
his
here.
knight to F4. Yeah, this allows actually bishop F5, of course,
Here,
and knight to E6.
stopping knight to f4. Black is fine.
Yeah, black is really fine here.
Yeah, this knight g2 this time around didn't work so well. It's a bit sad if they play 5 draws and whoever was black in the last game
Yeah,
wins red, but what to do? Even though Nakamura had slightly the better chances in the draws so far.
yeah, he could have won that Berlin actually with black.
Bishop f5 on the board, queen d2, he's gonna go knight e6, and now he has solved all his problems.
Yeah,
His knight goes
knight
back
to
here,
E3.
then bishop e4 is gonna come.
Yeah,
No worries at all.
yeah. Knight to E3. You also have bishop H6 maybe, but no, that is not
Also
it.
possible, yeah. But not necessary. I think bishop e4 is quite good.
You can take if you move this pawn, then
D5.
the D3 square can be occupied by this knight after knight C5 and then go to D3.
It's an octopus.
Yeah,
Kraken.
it's really good. That's a little monster.
Some more moves have been made. Nakamura playing it safe, didn't go for knight e6, went for rook e8. He wants to exchange, maybe.
Yeah.
He has in mind that every exchange brings him closer to draw. Knight e3, now he's played bishop e4. But now we can maybe go d5, and this knight is not going to end up here so easily. Not sure why he's done that.
I'm always worried about this f3 square in some lines. If this knight manages to go there, it's too far away.
Yeah, not so easy.
It's not easy to go
at least
to.
it's a pass pawn.
Yeah.
I think he just wants to sit and wait, go knight d6, or takes.
Takes a knight d6. Yeah,
Knight d6,
it's already played. All right, but well, maybe queen f6. Maybe it's some lines. You can try to go king g2 and then g4 and h5 or something like this. But always queen d8 is not a problem.
Yeah, queen f6.
Queen d8. He already played
queen
that.
d8 on the board. Queen f4. I'm not sure this has helped. I thought the queen was quite nice on his long
Yeah.
diagonal. This knight, yeah, it's not challenged. It's a powerhouse, and queen f6 is a threat. No, I believe once again Mr. Nakamura is doing fine. Queen f6 next move.
Yep. And he controls the c file. That's very important for the rook endgame.
Yeah. Black is fine. Maybe white has to do this just to challenge this guy. But such a position is also going to be impossible to win, I believe. Just take the queen on d6.
So 2 minutes for Mr. MVL and 1 minute 20 seconds for Nakamura. Still some time advantage, but the position is so close to equal. And he goes for g4 here.
Well, he had to do something as to win. But
Yeah. He goes for
very
g4.
good idea.
What's going on here? Actually, maybe even queen f6 is still good in this position. I don't know.
Queen f6 looks fine here.
Queen f6 has been played, and queen g3. Yeah, he finds room for this queen. Doesn't want to exchange all the pieces. Of course, that's a bad idea. H takes, and what's going on? If
I don't know, knight takes looks normal. Maybe queen c3, yeah? Just
wow, yeah.
Exchange once
Rook
again.
e3, maybe. But then check, and then you have knight f5. Queen a1. a1, I think that's important to keep an eye on e5. Yeah, queen c3 already been played, and
yeah, Nakamura's he's not going to lose this. He's
Yeah.
probably better now. This is a key trick.
yeah, rook e3 doesn't work, so he has to exchange queens.
Yeah, the endgame is just worse for white with this knight blocking the poor d pawn. It's troubles.
Yeah, so yeah, a lot of troubles for MVL. 1 minute for him.
Yeah, he could even almost resign here. Well, he never resigned, but it's just impossible to win this endgame.
Yeah. Rook. Yeah, you're gonna
It's
lose
just too
probably
easy
the
for black.
d5 pawn.
Bring the king. And he's tried sacrificing the exchange instead with, how did he do it? Queen takes d6.
Yeah, queen takes e1, king g2, queen c3, knight to e5, and queen c7, and it actually
that's
just
the end.
means the
Changing
end.
the queens. And you can resign.
He resigned already. So Nakamura is the new winner.
Old and new.
The winner of Gibraltar 2016.
Congratulations to Hikaru Nakamura. Just like last year, he starts his year off very well by winning Gibraltar. MVL's troubles in Armageddons continue after London, now Gibraltar. Every tournament he plays very well. Then get some trouble in the Armageddon.
Yeah, he will be very motivated for the candidates for sure. After this good tournament.
Yeah, probably good feeling for Nakamura to have won a tournament, while Vachier-Lagrave had a terrible tournament.
Yeah.
We'll see if he can come back in the candidates. Was anybody else from the candidates playing? No, it was Vachier and Nakamura.
Vachier and Nakamura, yeah. Yeah, no one else.
Topalov taking a break, Levon Aronian taking a break, Peter Svidler was here commentating,
Yeah.
everybody else played Vachier-Lagrave. So I believe that's it. Congratulations to the winner, Hikaru Nakamura. Thank you guys for watching. Oh, thanks Pepe for commentating. I was just jumping in here for a while.
Yeah.
We're gonna be back. Well, I'm gonna be back with Banter Blitz tonight at 8 p.m. And we're going to be back covering the Zurich Chess Challenge from whenever it was, 11th till 15th of February.
Yeah.
A lot of top tournaments always out there.
Yeah, just don't forget to crush Jan today in the Banter Blitz session. Was a
Go
pleasure.
premium, challenge me. If you get one of these excellent multi-year memberships, I think you get a mug signed by whomever you want.
Yeah.
Not Bruce Willis, but anybody else. See you soon.
All right, bye.